Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here again, and today I wanted to go over the items you need to be chasing down if you want to make your own bleed build in Remnant 2. Keeping in mind you can use a bleed build across multiple different archetypes, so combining those, test them out, see what feels right for you. But let me tell you not only what these items do, but also where to get them. Now, bleed builds all start pretty much with the Merciless Long Gun. This thing is phenomenal. You get it by defeating the Ravager world boss on Yesha, but you have to let it feed on the dough during the boss fight, so keep that in mind. It has the following perks. Fires tooth-like fletchlets when weapon reticle is fully compressed. Fletchlets apply 770 bleeding damage over 20 seconds. It also has the mod Bloodline, fires a devastating blast, which penetrates through all enemies in its path, deals damage with a 25% critical damage bonus and 3 times additional stagger. Bloodline damage increases by 50% for each enemy penetrated. This weapon in general is just very, very good. I would highly recommend chasing it down, but in a bleed build, it really does shine. You also want to chase down the Mutator Twisting Wounds. This can be found from the Grime Crawler in Loathsome. It is a random find, making sure you find that aberration, so keep that in mind. But once you do find it, it's definitely worth having. Increased range damage of this weapon by 17% to bleeding targets, which is nice. That'll go higher as you upgrade the weapon, or the mutator, apologies. Then you've got level 10. This weapon's ranged weak spot and range critical hits apply bleeding, dealing bleed damage over 20 seconds. You can have this on your main long gun or your handgun, so whichever one you want to apply additional bleeding with, definitely do so. Then we've got the Assassin's Dagger. This is another, probably the best melee weapon for bleeding enemies. It's got the perk Bloodthirst. Damage increases by 25% against bleeding enemies and 25% when attacking from behind. Charge attacks deal 440 bleeding damage over 20 seconds. This can be crafted at Namoi if you get the Assassin Dagger material from the Council event in Loathsome. So definitely go do that if you don't have that already. You can also snag the Vampire Blade Mutator. This increases melee damage by 10% while within 10 meters of a bleeding entity. At level 10, melee hits versus bleeding targets will lifesteal 3% of base damage dealt. It's very, very nice. Definitely recommend chasing that down. It can be found at the Fester Abomination in Undara's End, so definitely go for that. It is a very nice combination. Now, as far as the other mod that I'm running on my handgun, I actually run Boar. Now, you can run another mod if you would like to. You can change that up quite a bit. But for me personally, like Blood Draw is really good. You could run that, and that is found in Loathsome. But for me, the Boar mod is even better. Fires a drill projectile which bores into the enemies on contact. Dealing damage after fully burrowing into an enemy creates a weak spot, which grants 50% of normal weak spot damage on hit. If attached to an existing weak spot, range crit chance is increased by 15%. So this really helps out if you are trying to get weak spot damage while you are applying the bleed. So that's why I prefer that over the Blood Draw mod personally, but you can use either one. This can be found from Abomination in Nerude, so definitely go chase that one down as well. Then we've got the amulets. Now, keep in mind, you can get the Abrasive Whetstone. This works out well, and it's easy to find because you do find this from Cass at Ward 13. You can purchase it for scrap. It's very easy to obtain. When attacking a bleeding enemy, crit chance is increased by 15% and crit damage is increased by 30%. It's perfectly fine if you don't have the Ravager's Mark, which increases all damage dealt to bleeding targets by 20%. Bonus increases to 30% to targets with 50% or lower health. So really, whichever one of these you want to run is fine. You have to actually kill the dough on Yesha instead of the Ravager if you want to obtain this. So that's going to be why you might have the Merciless but not be able to get the Ravager's Mark right away. So in the interim, you're going to want to run the Abrasive Whetstone for sure. It works out just fine, and either way, you're going to be in good shape. Next up, we're going to go to the Blood Tinged Ring. This is a personal favorite of mine. Gain 2 health regeneration per second when within 10 meters of a bleeding entity or enemy, whatever you may say there. So this one is very nice because that health regeneration can come in handy, especially if you're using the Assassin's Dagger or meleeing in general, and or surprise hit by enemies that are coming out of nowhere, but you have a lot of bleeding enemies around. Certain boss fights this can make very, very easy because you're going to have that health regeneration up pretty much all the time. This can be found in the Lament on Yesha. It is a ring that is very useful if you are using any kind of bleed damage, so I really do enjoy it. And then finally, we've got the Timekeeper's Jewel. Increases the duration of all status effects applied by the wearer. Duration varies per status. This is going to be super clutch regardless of what status effect build that you are running. I've already mentioned this in past videos, but I want to reiterate here. It's very, very good. This can be found on Losum at the Huda's Clock, and that's going to do it for everything that I think you should be chasing for a bleed build in general. You can mix and match then of your other rings for whatever is going to keep you alive, do the most damage, all that kind of good stuff. But this is all the kind of the base items that you're going to want to chase down, and all of it will come in handy quite a bit. I would definitely recommend chasing the Merciless if you don't have it as your #1 priority, because it is a very fun weapon and also very, very good. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Remnant 2 content from me. It's been an absolute blast covering the game. Support has been absolutely amazing, and I've really enjoyed making these videos. Instead of like pure build videos, they're more like guides on things you can pair together to allow these builds to shine and where to chase them, because I feel like in this game specific builds are going to be tailored to your own playstyle, so they're not really necessary to have the perfect build in order to make these things perform really well. So anyway, my name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, and I hope you have a good one. I'll catch you all later.